everybody out there in YouTube land, welcome once again to another episode of Lancing with myself, where I spend a few minutes talking about being a freelance game designer, especially when you're low on spoons and low on cash. A couple of weeks ago at a convention, a young game designer asked me if he had enough math skill to be a game designer, and that's actually a really good question. And it's something that a lot of people wonder and struggle with. First off, I should say I have an honours degree in maths, and I have half a PhD, and honestly I've never used really much of either of them when I've been a game designer. I even studied a little bit of game theory in my maths degree. Game theory isn't about games, it's not really about games at all. And I did a lot of statistics, that helped. So let's be fair, maths can help. Maths can be part of game design, and being able to think mathematically is part of game design. Being able to enjoy puzzles and the way that you solve puzzles is part of game design, and that's a lot of what maths is. Maths is something that's not really like science, it's more about solving puzzles. And so it's actually more like that being a game player and game designer makes you better at math, not the other way around. So as I say, maths can be helpful, but it's more about the kind of brain that you have. And there are lots of ways to get to that kind of brain, and there are also lots of ways that that game design isn't about maths. And the kind of maths that you do at school, and especially at university, is not always the kind of maths that you need. As I said, I studied probability and statistics, and that is good. It's good to have a basic grounding in sort of some of those ideas about how often events come up and things like that. But most important thing that I learned when I studied statistics is that statistics is very often counterintuitive. It doesn't work the way people think it is, and people have very strong beliefs about how it does work. And you have to deal with those beliefs when you're doing game design. Overall, psychology is much more a bigger part of game design than mathematics ever would be. I also work as a trainer and a teacher, and psychology is a huge part of that. And I find that people who have a basic understanding of psychology tend to be better students of training and learn better about how to train people. And that's something that I find really applies a lot to how games communicate ideas. There are lots of things that are part of game design. Design as an aspect, as an engineering concept and a graphical concept, is a huge part of game design, because you have to figure out how to communicate information to people in succinct ways. I lack a lot of that skill as well. And I've had to work around that and find people who can help me with that. And there's a lot of there's a lot of gaps in my resume. And for a long time I thought, I don't have the game design ability. I don't have the graphic design ability to be a game designer. I often think I don't have the math skills, even with a PhD in maths, or half a PhD in maths, that I don't have the math skills. I don't really have the ability to design some of those complex Euro games because I just don't have the right kind of brain. I have the other kind of brain. I have other kinds of brain, though. I have different types of skills that work for different types of game design. And you're never going to have a complete suite of skills unless you're some sort of crazy polymath. You're never going to be able to design every kind of game in the world. You're never going to be, to have every kind of possible skill, because all kinds of skills add up to being a game designer. It's design, it's engineering, it's psychology, it's maths, it's puzzle solving, it's people skills, it's art, it's creativity, it's, writing, it's storytelling, it's all sorts of things. And if you focus on all the things you lack, you might miss all the things that you do have and all the kind of games that you can make with those skills. There may be games that are beyond your skills. There's a saying, people say, make the games you want to play. If you like playing lots of games, like most of us do, there's going to be lots of games that you like that you actually cannot make. You can't make those games because you just don't quite have those skills, at least not yet. And you have to figure it out bit by bit, and you're going to have much of a sharper learning curve. There are going to be some games that you're just going to be better at making because of your skill set, and there's going to be games that other people are better at making. It doesn't matter so much what games you like to play as what games you like to make, and what games you enjoy making, and what games you're good at making. You can change what games you're good at making by experience and practice and learning and getting new skills, but you're always going to have your strengths. And that's not also necessarily about mathematics. That's about ideas, creativity, people, relating, telling stories, having fun, building interesting experiences with people. There's all kinds of skills in that. Alan Rickman says when young actors ask him for advice, he would say, forget about learning to act, go out and have lots of other experiences, because you need those to build on as an actor. And it's the same thing with game design, is that these days you can learn game design at school. You couldn't when I was in school. So we learned, other things like maths and psychology instead, but also, storytelling and Latin and all sorts of crazy things. And all of that comes and plays in my game design skills. So you've got skills, you're going to get more skills. Learning is always good. A little bit of math can help, but there's a lot more to being a game designer than having a maths background, or indeed an arts background or a design background. You've got some skills, learn to use those skills, learn to work around the skills you don't have. Don't sweat how much math skills you have. You can still be a great game designer without being Reiner Knizia and being a math nerd in a bow tie. Not that bow ties aren't cool. Wear bow ties. I love them. I'll see you all next week. Until then, play games, be good, pat dogs, have fun.